Nope. Nope. There it is. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There's a nice piece. I don't recommend anybody to go inside of a mine. The slightest movement, anything could cause it to cave in on you. That is very dangerous to do. And most of the mines I've gone around are already collapsed. If you start chipping at the side of the mine, the whole roof may cave in on you. That's just definitely not a very good idea. And your machine's only going to go so many inches into the wall of the mine. And there's been actually more gold found in the ore dump outside than they ever did inside the mine.
Another method Bob uses to find gold is underwater dredging.
Dredging is where you use a suction hose and a pump, and it pumps water into a venturi, which creates a suction on a hose, and it vacuums up the gravel off the bottom of the river, runs it through a sluice box, puts the gravel back into the stream, and we actually remove mercury, remove lead out of the streams. We actually clean up the streams.
Popular opinion would believe that dredging is not good for the environment, but Bob feels differently about his time in the streams.
We're the only people I know that are taking mercury and lead out of the streams, which winds up in the fish and then winds up in us. We actually dig up bugs, which feed the fish. We aerate the gravel, which is good for the fish to lay eggs in next year. I would consider us environmentalists, definitely. You know, we're cleaning up the environment.
In addition to being an environmentalist, Bob has also become an amateur archaeologist.
We actually are protecting artifacts as we find them. We get them out of the ground before they're destroyed by the environment. The artifacts that we find, we donate them to the museums, and it's adding to history. These things are just falling apart. They're just wasting away into the ground, and we can get them out and get them into museums where they belong. And I notice there's a fence right over here to my right. It's obviously private property. I might work right up to, but I try to stay off of private property as much as possible. It's just not worth the trouble. And there's just as much gold off the private property as there is on. More out of the fact that they just want their privacy, not something like they're trying to protect gold or something that might be on there.
For Bob, his profession as a treasure hunter, environmentalist, and archaeologist is fueled by his passion for adventure.
It's very addicting because you're finding what you're looking for. It's gold fever. You pick up a piece of gold and wow, I mean, it shocks you. And as you keep going and you get more and more and more, the pieces of gold are getting larger and I'm finding more of it. And it's just, like I say, very addicting, and there's a lot of adventure. I'm more addicted to the adventure than I am the profit that I'm getting from it. It's just something about it. It just really attracts me. I've pretty much done just about everything I ever wanted to do in life and seen just about everywhere I wanted to see. And this is something I intend to do the rest of my life. Absolutely, this is my life's passion.
When we return, we'll meet Mike Howard, who's found a great collection of gold nuggets and military memorabilia. Welcome back to Treasure Hunting America. Our next treasure hunter has researched and hunted California's gold and U.S. military history and come up with some great finds, including artifacts relating to General Ulysses Grant.
Metal detecting, treasure hunting is something that's in your blood, and I think you're born with it. I really do. I certainly was. I can't remember a time when I wasn't into that, and I'm a geologist, and my parents would have told that I was going to be a geologist because they tell me that when I was crawling, before I was walking, I'd come home with hands full of rocks. When I got my first metal detector, that's when the passion really grew. That's when I realized that there were things in the ground you couldn't see that were valuable. The Lake Michigan area was incredible, and I lived in a place called Lincolnshire, Illinois, which is right close to Waukegan. This was back in the mid-60s. Coinage had just gone to clad, so everything in the ground was silver. In an afternoon, you could pick up more coins than you could carry away. It was intriguing what you could find and not know was ever there. That was the primary thing that kept me going. I used to find an awful lot of money and a lot of gold jewelry too, which kind of supplemented my income in the early years. This is a handful of gold nuggets, 7 ounces to be actually 7.01 ounces, which I found last June, at a place called Gaines Creek, Alaska. Just after landing at Gaines Creek, we went out, we ate lunch and went out, and 3 hours later, I had this nugget. A couple hours after that, I had another nugget, and the next day I had a couple more nuggets. On the third day, I found that nugget, which is 3 3/4 ounces. It's a kind of a heart-shaped gold slug. There's no quartz in it whatsoever, and it's just a beauty. Near the end of the week, I found this, and it is gold in oxidized arsenopyrite, so the geologist up there told me. And they hadn't seen one of these before, this combination, gold in this parent rock. So they're now looking for that outcrop.
Through his years of experience as a treasure hunter, Mike has learned some good lessons on where to find the best targets.
I like parks and schools because you find lots of coins, just lots of coins. And in parks you can find some old coins and jewelry as well. There's plenty left behind. Even if an area's been hit hard, they didn't get everything. I like old trails, old mining trails. I like the beach too, especially an area where you might have had multiple shipwrecks. All kinds of things wash up on the beach during a storm or are uncovered by the cuts made in the sand by the storm. Gold fields. Especially around here. Redding was the end of the railroad back in the old days, coming up from the south. And the people would get off the train here in Redding and they'd go to Old Shasta, which was the county seat back in the 1800s, and they'd go off into the Trinities from there and any of the gold fields right around the area here. But this is basically where the beginning was. This is probably aluminum, but I'm going to dig it anyway. Must have come out. Oh, they did. It's the ring from a pull tab. Sound good. No, that's why. Another pull tab. It's a 2 pull tab day, but you know, not every day is a winner. These could just as easily have been seeded Liberty dimes.